Hello and welcome. It's Tami here. I am an intuitive energy channel and I'm here today to talk to you about the throat chakra. So this is part of a series that I'm putting out and bringing forward the information around our chakras, how they might present themselves as unbalanced, so either underactive or overactive, and balanced, and then what we can do to bring them into balance if we're noticing a sort of dysregulation. The physical symptoms that we might experience, and the emotional things and feelings in which we might experience. So let's get into it. So the throat chakra is obviously located here in the throat. It is the fifth chakra. It is associated with the color blue. Our chakras are energy wheels or vortexes, so they are meant to flow in a clockwise direction out the front and out the back. So when we experience blockages within our chakras, those energy wheels or centers aren't flowing the way that they're meant to, and we are an energetic being and we are meant to flow within our body. You know, our blood flows through our body at just the same our energy flows. So when there's a blockage, sometimes it can present itself in these areas around the chakras. So I'm going to start with the basics around so first of all, the crystals that we can use to work with to bring our throat chakra into balance. So turquoise, lapis lazuli, which I did have a lapis here, blue lace agate, which is beautiful, aquamarine, and angelite. So these crystals you can use if you meditate. You can actually place them on your throat while you're meditating. Essential oils, again, you can rub on your throat area. Remember to dilute them, of course. Frankincense, spruce, peppermint, sage, cypress, sandalwood, and juniper berry. Wearing blue, so the color blue, wearing blue or surrounding yourself with blue objects can activate this area as well. And then eating blue foods like blueberries, figs, kelp is really good for, I know it's not necessarily blue, but kelp is really good for your throat chakra as well. So sushi. Okay, so while I'm speaking, I can literally feel my throat starting to close up, which is fine. And just identifying that as people watch this, it may create an awareness around what's happening in your throat. And this is something that I do within my sessions, my one-to-one healing sessions, is that quite often when people come in, I feel the throat close up, and to me that signifies that there's something within the throat chakra that we need to balance out and release, quite often emotions around not speaking your truth. So let's get into it. An underactive throat chakra. These are the things that you might experience or have experienced in your lifetime. So you may not even have an awareness that what happened in your childhood, because so much of what happened in our childhood reverberates into our adult life and can actually have a profound effect on the way that we speak up or don't speak up. Okay, so an inability to say what you mean or mean what you say. Feeling withdrawn, feeling shut down, shy, or introverted. So that passive kind of energy, right? Maybe you notice that others speak over you. This is something that very much I used to notice, was like I would be speaking within a group context and somebody would start speaking over me, and that was a sign that my throat chakra was underactive. Feeling unheard and misunderstood. These energies come from our childhood. You know, the old saying, children, the old saying, so the old generational saying of children are to be seen and not heard. So that is a good indication that that energy of feeling unheard and shut down has actually passed down through the lineage lines, through the ancestral lines, and sometimes that can affect us in our life now. Having a stutter is something that can very much indicate that there is throat chakra stuff going on. You can't articulate your words, so sometimes your words struggle to you struggle to form the words, right? And you might be confused around, like, you know what you want to say, but the words don't come out. Feeling confused about yourself and your thoughts, and feeling indecisive. So that indecisive energy again is, like, it's the mind, throat, and heart actually connection. So I'll get into that a little bit later. You might have trouble listening. This is quite a big one because it's quite a skill, right? Learning to listen. We have to have a lot of self-awareness to truly listen to others rather than listening just to respond. So you might find that you zone out within conversations and you may not be able to concentrate on what other people are saying. You might have an inability to be present. So it obviously, is all to do with communication and our expression and the way that we express ourselves in the world. The throat chakra is connected to creativity. So we may have shut down our creativity and therefore our expression gets shut down with that. So not only our expression of creativity, but our expression verbally as well. So an overactive throat chakra might look, so it's kind of like the opposite to the underactive, okay? So it might look like a very loud, overly expressive person, okay? So this is the person that speaks over the passive, right? So needing to dominate the conversation or have the limelight the whole time. So these kinds of personalities or traits, actually, because it's not really a personality, it becomes a personal reality because it's something that's been practiced. It becomes a habit or who we are, but that doesn't mean that we can't change it. So this can quite often look like the people that speak for their children, which when we recognize that when we speak for our children, we're actually dimming their expression and we're not trusting in their own expression. We're not allowing them to express themselves. And so this can, have this reverberating effect on that child as they grow up. If they were always spoken for, then how do they know what their truth is? How do they know how to speak their truth? So we have to allow ourselves to have enough self-awareness to listen and to allow the space. And I guess there's presence there, right? Patience and presence to allow our children to speak for themselves. So yes, an overactive throat chakra can be that overly expressive, needing attention, needing to be loud, needing to be boisterous, maybe unable to hear other people's opinions, maybe unable to take on other perspectives of a particular topic. Raising your voice, so yelling, anger, and not having control over it, okay? So, I know that as humans, we always may at times feel frustrated, but do we have control over raising our voice and just having that reaction rather than responding and being able to take a deep breath and kind of find ourselves and come from a space of speaking from our truth rather than speaking from a reaction. Mind chatter is a big one for overactive throat chakras. So the mind chatter, the many voices in the head, right? And even voices that aren't yours. Okay, so being able to identify between your own thoughts and all of the other thoughts that come in. And these other thoughts can come from our programming. They can be our parents' belief systems that are in there. They can be our teachers. They can be past partners. They can be the programming from social media even, or, from television. literally programs are a program, right? And so being able to identify between your own thoughts and what's been programmed in there, the overthinking, okay, so the constant mind chatter, lying, telling white lies, all of the lies, because our throat chakra is about expressing our truth. It is about being in integrity and authenticity. Okay, so, even expanding on stories. So an overactive throat chakra might be that person that expands on stories and, creates a story to make it sound better, but it's not truthful. So, and maybe there's an inability to actually be truthful, because of that lack of connection with the mind and the heart. The throat is right in the middle here. So it's really important that the mind-heart connection is there in order for us to express our unique truth, which is, we all have our own unique truth. There is no right or wrong truth. There just is your unique truth. Okay, so a balanced throat chakra, you will be in integrity. Okay, so you will know when you're not in integrity because it won't feel good in your body, and therefore you will be able to express and communicate maybe what's happening for you. Being in your authentic truth. So authenticity is huge, right? Speaking your truth, speaking clearly and honestly. Being able to have hard conversations. So this is where we're getting into the big stuff, right? Because having hard conversations is almost always going to bring up throat trauma or throat chakra imbalances. When we can easily express ourselves in those hard conversations from a place of love and knowing our truth, not from a place of reactivity, then we know that we're onto something. So you'll easily be able to express yourself even when it's difficult or awkward. So I'm going to tie this into the connection between the throat and the yoni, or the throat and the throat and the ovaries. This is so interesting. When the throat is formed in the embryo, the throat and the ovaries are actually connected until they eventually split apart and become, those two separate things. But they are connected by the vagus nerve, which is our nervous system. So the throat and the yoni are so deeply connected, and therefore, so some people might be able to express themselves in the corporate world. They might be able to express themselves within their family. But when it comes to their sexual needs and desires and their creativity and their sexuality, there might be a closed off sensation around those difficult and awkward conversations around sexuality and pleasure and your needs and desires. And this is so common in women that, they don't know how to express themselves in the bedroom. They don't know how to ask for what it is that they need or what their desires are. So the connection, the physiology is the same. So the wall of the uterus is the same as the wall of the throat. It's so interesting. Everything is connected. So that is a big one. Okay, so you may be able to express yourself in certain areas, but those ones where it's really hard and awkward and difficult, that's where we want to go to really open up your expression. So if you have a balanced throat chakra, you will be able to reframe there won't be this need to be right within conversations as well. So you'll be able to refrain from needing to be right, from, needing to be the one that overly expresses or makes everybody see it from your point of view kind of thing. So you'll be disciplined. You will be able to take a deep breath and find that equilibrium, I guess is what's coming to me. You'll be able to refrain from outbursts. Okay, so, instead of just like attacking, you'll be able to take that breath and come back into yourself and actually kind of gather yourself before you speak. You won't say things that you don't mean, which is huge, right? Because in disagreements, we can quite often say things that we don't mean. So again, this comes down to having, that this connection is so important. You'll be able to, the mind chatter doesn't necessarily go away. It can reduce. You'll be able to hear the guidance of your soul. So again, that connection with the heart, the mind, and the throat, you'll feel clear and confident, and you will be able to disconnect from the mind chatter in order to hear the whispers of your soul. So you will be able to speak without feeling like you're going to be persecuted. Again, this is a really big one because a lot of people have experienced past lives where they have literally been persecuted for speaking their truth. They have been persecuted. We now live in a world where there is a lot of shutdown going on. And, we've come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go. And that, when people speak up, they quite often do have a very real fear of being persecuted or being, especially around topics like this even, like spiritual topics or topics that aren't mainstream, shall we say. So, there's a fear that may stem from a past life of like literally being a witch burnt on the stake kind of thing, because you spoke up for, for what you believe in, for herbs and natural alternative, it's not really alternative, it's just natural therapies. Okay, so the physical symptoms, just looking at my notes, the physical symptoms that you might experience. So when we know and believe that our body is speaking to us in real time, and you may experience this when you are in one of those hard conversations and your throat starts closing up. You can literally feel it happening and you freeze. Can't express yourself. That is an indication that the throat chakra needs some work. So thyroid problems is definitely, this is a huge thing, right? Practicing expression and learning about your unique communication style that you have now and what you want to move towards, okay? Because there's a passive aggressive, assertive, and manipulative. These are the communication styles that we can quite often use within our everyday way in which we, talk to those around us. Assertive is the most healthy, okay, because assertive comes from a place of knowingness, of knowing who you are, knowing your beliefs and your values and what you stand for, but coming from a place of love, okay, not coming from a place of aggression. Of course, passive is that shutdown energy. The passive aggressive might be that overactive energy. I would put sarcasm into that bucket of communication style. Obviously aggression is an overdominant, overpowering kind of energy and way of communicating. And then manipulative can be quite underlying and sometimes can catch us out if, someone is being manipulative, unless you know your truth, because you can feel the energy of manipulation. Okay, so yeah, physical symptoms, sore throats. So if you get, we're all going to get a sore throat at some stage, but it's really helpful when our body communicates in this way. So if somebody gets a sore throat, can we just take a moment and be like, okay, what's happening in my life? What's happening in my relationships? What's happening at work? And maybe is there some way or somewhere where I am not expressing myself fully? Or maybe it is in the bedroom. Swollen glands all the time, right? So glandular fever, those kind of autoimmune throat things as well. You might have trouble listening. You may have mouth ulcers. Okay, so the mouth is also a very good indicator that there's something going on with our throat chakra and our expression. So mouth ulcers, herpes, cold sores, the sores around our mouth. This can be around also like telling untruths, bitterness, judgment of others. Okay, so when you speak a judgment out loud, if you have an awareness of that in that moment and fold back within and just ask yourself, is there a judgment of myself within this? Is there somewhere where, so if we had a judgment of somebody even expressing themselves and being really expressive in a beautiful way, but we judge that, where am I not truly expressing myself? Because it's always the mirror of reflection, right? So, so around the mouth, the inner critic as well. So being really, really mindful. And I guess this is identifying again between, identifying your thoughts and those thoughts that are more like an inner critic, an outside voice, which quite often can be the one that stems from our childhood. And that, like quite often, even with clients, I'm like, who does that sound like? That sounds like my mum, or that sounds like my dad, or that sounds like my ex-partner. Okay, so that's them. That's the programming, and we can undo that. People that are born tongue-tied or with a lisp or lip stuff, this can actually stem from past lives where there's been persecution around speaking up, expression, and it's actually come into this lifetime for us to, have an awareness of that area so that we can then do the healing on the expression in this lifetime. You may have feelings of unexpressed feelings and emotions. As simple as that. And you may not know how to express yourself, and that's okay, because we can learn, we can practice. And this is something that I've had to do, like even speaking here online, and this is not something that I would have been able to do, not that long ago. But through practicing expressing myself, I have become more and more confident, and I'm trusting in speaking my truth. I'm being as authentic as I can in every moment. And there are times when I recognize where I'm not being authentic, and that's okay, because then I can have an awareness, reflect, and be like, okay, now that I can see that, where can I do better? Okay, because we're not perfect, right? We're human and we're always learning and growing about ourselves and about our expression. And that changes as we move through the cycles of our life, through the cycles of parenting, through the cycles of our relationships, through the cycles of our family dynamics even, So learning how to. So I'll give you some tips on that as well. I'm just going to make sure that I've covered everything in the physical symptoms. Yeah, so there's a couple of moments in my life, little stories of, so when I was in a relationship that was very I was very shut down in my expression. So I would try to express myself and it just continually got shut down. There was a lot of manipulation and aggression as well. And so over time, I just shut down. And then I just didn't actually know how to express myself at all. And I remember a time when my mum came and stayed with me and my ex, and my relationship was just in such a horrible space. And I got the worst sore throat I have ever got because I wanted to talk to my mum about it, but I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know if I was even safe to express it. And it was so bad that, the little dongle thing at the back of our throat, it got stuck on like the top of my tongue. So like swallowing was really, really painful and really difficult. It was honestly like, I remember it really clearly because it was so bad. And I remember trying all of these natural things to kind of shift it even. Because and I look back now and I recognize that was one of those moments that I really, really wanted to express myself and I didn't know how. And I was really shut down. So my throat chakra was like screaming. So thank goodness I'm not there anymore. And another actually thing around the mouth ulcers is something that I noticed with my youngest child, was that his father also did that a lot and shut his expression down. And he was a very expressive child. And he used to get mouth ulcers a lot. And he would always come back from dad's with mouth ulcers. And so I recognized, the more I learned about this stuff, that it was the best that I could do was to let him express himself in his wholeness as much as I could, because I could see that it was being shut down on the other side. So these are really amazing ways in which we can have an awareness of what's going on with those around us as well. And then we can set that stage and that safe space for them to fully express. Okay, so just something also around the telling lies. So keeping secrets is going to affect your throat chakra. Okay, so it's not the same as telling a lie, but it's very similar. And it is a lack of expression, okay? And it holds the energy of, that lack of expression. So if you are holding in or keeping secrets from those that you love, try expressing yourself and see what happens, because it will make a difference. And even maybe like journaling, like what's the biggest lie I've ever told? And can I forgive myself and let that go now? Or, like just, where am I not being really truthful with myself and therefore with others? Okay, so ways in which we can bring this into balance. Practice speaking your truth. Find your loved ones, the ones in which, and your friends and your family, the ones in which you feel safe around, and practice speaking your truth with them. And even, because we have to feel safe. If we've been shut down in the past, then we're going to struggle to build that trust. But again, it's a process of learning to trust and then learning to speak our truth. So, talking about the fear. So even when I've done public speaking and like biggest fear of my life, and the first thing I said was I spoke into the fear. I am so nervous right now up here in front of all of these people. As soon as you speak it out loud, it dissipates. And the nerves kind of settle, right? Because we're leaning in, we're going, yes, I see you fear, but I'm going to lean in and I'm going to do this anyway. Okay, so leaning into that fear of speaking your truth and allowing yourself to go there. The more that we trust in ourselves, the more we will trust in others. And staying true to your truth. So if you can feel into your heart space, this is why, I just am all about breathing into the heart space, right? Because it actually brings us out of that mind chatter, and into the body and into the heart space and into who we truly are. And so if we can learn with the breath, so breath work is amazing. So not even like activated breath work, but just gentle breathing into the heart space and finding that presence and that slowness and that calm, then there's lots of heart energy that's coming through. So what my body does is it will pick up on who will watch this in the future and the energy that's coming through. So there's a lot of heart clearing going on while I'm speaking into this. And then we learn what our truth is, right? When we can be still and be calm, in our heart space, we can know what is our truth. And then when we can start to speak our truth, if someone is triggered by our truth, we can stay true to our truth. We won't go into, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Or, it will be, no, actually I've spoken from my truth, from my heart space. I've spoken with as much love as possible. So whatever that person's triggered by, then that's for them. And for us to actually release any guilt that might be wound up in that. Okay. The people pleaser tendencies come into play here, right? Because as a people pleaser, we will want to keep everybody happy. Yeah, we'll want to express in a way that keeps everybody happy. So we're not truly expressing our truth. We're actually doing it from a place of disservice, not only to ourselves, but to everyone around us, because it's not true. It comes from a place of trying to keep the balance or keep, everybody happy. And that's not possible, because we all need to be able to speak our truth. And if there's a trigger there for someone, then that's there for them. So if in the beginning you struggle to speak it out loud or speak it with somebody, then journaling, writing letters, and trying auto writing are amazing ways to express ourselves. Okay, it might not be verbally out of the mouth, but it's still getting it out of our being, right? Because we are a whole holistic being, as in we're a physical, mental, spiritual and emotional being, and therefore we hold the stuff that we hold in, like secrets, like unexpressed fears, unexpressed desires and needs. All of that gets held in the body, and it becomes quite heavy after time. So journaling can really let that out and actually release a bit of a weight. Writing letters to people that we want to express to, but we don't know how. Sometimes writing a letter can really help. And then auto writing. So this is asking a question. So asking a question for yourself. So even like, what is the biggest lie I've ever told? And then allowing the pen to flow and seeing what comes through. And you might actually be surprised at what comes through, because our consciousness will bring through the answers for us if we allow and trust in the process. Meditation, there's loads of meditations, throat chakra activations and meditations on YouTube that are available to us all, which is incredible. Compliments. Okay, so this is another way in which we can practice our expression, is by expressing compliments to people. Okay, so when you notice that somebody's eyes are sparkling, or you look amazing in that color, or whatever it may be, actually speaking it out loud. How often do we notice something about somebody, but we don't say it? So if we can practice through expressing and verbally, actually complimenting people, that will help with learning to express ourselves. Singing is like one of the most amazing ways in which we can learn to open the throat chakra and activate that energy center. Omming. So this is something that I do if I feel a little bit of a disconnect or a misalignment happening. I will just do it driving, and I will om, and I will do it with as much presence and expression as I can, because I notice it reverberates my whole body, and it kind of like brings everything into alignment. So singing, affirmations as well, like affirming to ourselves. I speak freely and authentically. I am free to express myself. I am free to express my creativity. I am safe to express my truth. And even when you go into those hard conversations, or those difficult conversations, calling in your team and asking for help with your expression, asking for your truth and your expression to flow through you clearly, with clarity and with confidence. Okay, because remembering, like, we're not just this, we have so much help around us, and with intention we can call that help in. Chanting is another way in which we can activate the throat chakra. That's not something that I've really tapped into. Oming is probably like what I've felt most comfortable with. But I'm open to trying chanting at some stage. So I feel like I've covered everything. The learning to breathe and be quiet, learning to come into the heart space. So the heart and mind connection will allow us to express ourselves in this world. So I hope that has helped. Please comment if you have any comments or questions about anything that I have suggested or expressed. I have my own expression journey. I have definitely been in situations in my life where I felt shut down. I was a very quiet child, which, had that kind of feel of, oh, she's so good because she's so quiet. But really, it was a lack of feeling safe to express myself, or not feeling, like I could express myself. Emotions weren't something that we felt or that we talked about. So again, like if our emotions are shut down, then being able to express through our emotions is a big part of our throat chakra as well. And then also in my later life, experiencing extreme disempowerment and shutdown within relationship, which has set me on this beautiful path. So I'm so grateful for what I have experienced in order to get me to here now, where I feel safe to express myself. I am in a relationship where our expression is so healthy. There is no toxicity. I am able to express myself and take the time to express myself. So I am a internal processor, as in I like to contemplate. I like to think about things before I speak. And so if I'm in a conversation and somebody is an external processor and they speak and speak and speak and speak and speak, sometimes that is quite a difficult, what's the word I'm looking for? Collaboration, because I need that space and that stillness and that quiet to contemplate. And so with my relationship, because I am an internal processor and John is an external processor, but we've found this beautiful rhythm where we can both express ourselves in our unique way, because we have learned who we are, and we've allowed each other to be who we are without judgment, because we're different, and that's normal, and that's okay, and that's beautiful. So being able to, and in the last 4 to 5 years, I have really started to express myself sexually as well, and learning to ask for and talk about what my needs and desires are. And we've done that together, and it's been this beautiful kind of unraveling, and we continue to do so, because it is a journey, and you hit blocks, and then we move through them, and then we come across more blocks, and it's beautiful. Okay. And when our expression and our communication is healthy and open and truthful, and we don't have the fear there, as in we know that we're safe to talk about anything, it really transforms your relationships. So there we are. I have expressed everything I need to express today. Thank you for listening. Like this video, comment, share, subscribe. If you know anyone that might have difficulty with expressing themselves, the person that's quite quiet, maybe they need to hear this, to know that there is something that they can work on and learn about themselves more in order to step through that feeling of being shut down, and you know, quite often that can stem from childhood, feeling unheard and misunderstood. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all and have a beautiful week.